Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. So seriously, when did the emojis change? I thought I just used them yesterday and they were still the same old emojis with, you know, color and stuff. What in the world happened? Maybe it's about the same time the streaming stuff crashed yesterday. I don't know. Alright, well, how is everybody doing today on this wonderful day? Let's see, who is online today? Quint Berkeley, hello, y'all. Keegan, how's it going there? Good evening to you. Yes, the app-controlled electrical outlet. It's like, the idea here is like to have an app-controlled, like, timer. It's like, dude, just buy a timer you can program at different times. I mean, really. If you're out vacationing, the last thing you're going to think of to do is pull up your phone and toggle your light on your living room. I don't know. And any other useful reasons to have an app-controlled outlet at your house? I don't know. I mean, really. Cat Gamer Greetings. How's it going there? Good friend and I were talking the other day about modern society's overdependence on technology and how if we had to do without it would be catastrophic. Yes, indeed. Still don't understand why I would want a few billion transistors and a web server between me and a light switch. Seems a bit silly. I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. Yeah, it turns off. It'll look like Zombieland. It already does. It already does. It's really sad when you have to start putting pedestrian signs on the ground because of that. You know, people not looking up. Hello, Mr. Anderson. How's it going there? Jeff Hope. Hello. Greetings to you. Axon, greetings. Hello, Gnostic. Hello to you. Alright, oh, that outlet, alright, I was already in my 20s when Symbiont came out, alright. Hello, KO2610, your number has been called. K-Wall, how's it going there? Sleepy Eyes Vince, greetings, yo, Urban Santa Claus, what, huh, greetings. Hello, Santa? Is there a plan for a smart city, smart people for the smart city? No, I don't think so. Uh-oh, Maverick's watching from Toronto. We are going to go through the plan that Google has to completely adulterate your city. My apologies, kind sir. Yes, Google is coming into Toronto and destroying it. All right, so shall we dive on into the privacy section of the news? Let me get everything ready here that we need. What am I doing? I'm doing PIA today. There we go. That's what we're doing. Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition, recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by if you want to interact with the comments or catch this crazy show live. Today, we are highlighting private internet access. If you need a VPN for your various things, in fact, if you stick around to the end of the live show, you'll see on the security news, a VPN actually gets around one of the potential Windows ransomware systems going around right now. Very fascinating. So if you are in need of a VPN, definitely check out private internet access. The link there is on the screen, tlm.li/PIA. tlm.li is my personal in-house link shortener for those curious. And you can also check out switchedtolinux.com/support for the list of all my affiliates and other ways to support this channel. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into our privacy news. And again, we are been moving towards this trend where I kind of try and nebulously sort these things from, this is interesting or pretty good to, the end is nigh. And so to start out on good news, we are starting with good news. Just rest assured that at least here in the United States, Axon, who is the main manufacturer for the police body cams, have said, no, we're not going to put any facial recognition into our cameras. Probably because there's a lot of negativity surrounding this. Maybe they don't want to be associated with crazy China going too insane with everything. But they basically come out and said that, no, they're not actually going to be utilizing the facial recognition for their cameras. All right, now, of course, this is the company that used to be Taser. They make that, you know, the tasers, whatever. But they basically say that after a industry conversation with several experts, is it 11 experts looking at the technology, they basically said, number one, facial recognition simply isn't good enough right now to be used ethically. Which is very true, particularly people of color. It completely shows a lot more false positives than people of, you know, bland pasty guys like me. All right, don't talk about accuracy, talk about specific false negatives and positives since they are more revealing and relevant. Any facial recognition model that is used shouldn't be overly customizable or will end up with the possibility of abuse. Any application of facial recognition should only be initiated with the consent and input of those it will affect. And that is something I would love to see a, you know, global law about. Until there is strong evidence that these programs provide real benefits, there should be no discussion of use. And facial recognition technologies do not exist, nor will they be used in a political or ethical vacuum, so to consider the real world when developing or deploying them. So good on you, Axon, for leaving this nonsense out of your cameras. Of course, you know, the company comes in behind them and goes, oh, we got no scruples, and puts it into their camera systems. That's probably going to be the company that takes over Axon. So, I don't know if this is good or bad. It's good news in that this is the primary organization who supplies these body cams for police, and we don't need police running around with facial recognition. All right, we just don't need that. All right, so this is an interesting one, a little bit frightening. The reason this is in my more leaning towards less frightening news is because this actually has to do with targeted people. So basically, this is a security group, Cyber Reason, who has been watching a series of hacker groups getting into your telecom companies, like your Verizon, your AT&T, all T-Mobile, Sprint, and all of these other variety ones. Now, what they're looking at is they're looking at how these hacker groups were getting in and tinkering inside the system, but they were using and specifically targeting individual high-profile people. But once they got into the telecom, they were pretty much able to extract everything, all the metadata, billing information, address information, all that kind of stuff. Everything was easily accessible. And so with that, this is fairly high risk. Of course, every time they were found, they showed back up 6 months later with better or more sophisticated tools. So basically, a bunch of hackers have been inside of these telecoms. Now, what do we have to say about this? I think the biggest challenge here is we need to pass better laws about what data these companies can store. Now, the last I knew, these could have changed, but the last I knew, the best company with regards to data would be Verizon, and the worst would be AT&T, because Verizon only stored data, I think it was over 3 years, but AT&T stores data over 7 years. And so if you became a high-profile target on AT&T, there would be 7 years of back data to look for. If you were a higher profile target on Verizon, you would only have 3 years of data to look at. Again, those numbers could have changed. I didn't look up those numbers again, but those were they were last time I was aware. So, a little bit frightening. All right, this is Telegram news, and I'm not sure what I feel about this. Basically, Telegram app is now adding location-flavored extras. So one feature is that if you enable this system inside of your platform, you would get in here and you could, if you were at a rally or a protest or something like that, you could enable this location and instantly be connected to other people at that close by vicinity. Now, the advantage is, of course, you still don't share anything other than your username. That's one of the reasons I like Telegram a little bit better than Signal, is because Telegram, you can set it up with a username so you do not have to share an email address with somebody, so you can communicate with them through the application without a phone number, which always brings in extra levels of security. Versus Signal, you do still need that phone number. It just the messaging information goes through a different platform. But they're adding a variety of these different things. Add nearby people, allowing you to chat with nearby people, see who's nearby. Of course, these are, at least for now, disabled by default, and that's kind of what is going on there. And so with all of that being said, like I said, I don't know what I think about this. I don't like it when these types of apps start doing a lot of things with location data. But at the same time, I understand because Telegram is used by a lot of, ralliers, protesters, things like that. And so it does make sense that they would implement this type of feature into the system. So I don't know, take it from that which you would like. All right, Windows 10 news. Cortana is now apparently allegedly being removed out of the Windows core and being put into store as a standalone app, although speculation says that it will still come pre-installed on the system. This to me is a good thing because the less stuff like this integrating with the system, the better. I would love it if there was an option to completely delete it. Now, I know the last time I used Windows 10, and I think this changed, but I think the last time I used Windows 10, you can now uninstall several of the apps that you used to not be able to. Is there anybody using Windows 10 that can confirm that? Let me know. But now Cortana is available in the App Store. Maybe this is just a push because they're making Cortana available for the Mac as well. They're making it available for the Android, for the iPhone. And so maybe this is just part of a greater move, but I like the idea that they are trying to decouple Cortana with the system. And if I needed to use Windows 10, I definitely would not have Cortana installed. It's just too crazy for me. Now, Cortana being taken out, is this like, maybe I should go back and look at Windows 10 again? No, not a chance. Sorry, Windows 10. You shot yourself in the foot as far as I'm concerned. I won't be using you. And now onto our featured story here. Alphabet's new Sidewalk Labs unveils its high-tech city within a city plan for Toronto. Any of you Torontoans or Canadians up there, you can kind of see what's going on. All right, so basically they are saying, so Sidewalk Labs is the Google, it's Alphabet. I use Google, of course, because everyone knows who Google is. Not as many people know who Alphabet is. So if you're unfamiliar with the structure, Alphabet, Google as a company was separated out and they created a higher up company called Alphabet to wrap all these different services into. Google is the main data collection group for Alphabet. So Alphabet created this new Sidewalk Labs, which basically gentrification isn't the right word. How about technofication? I don't know. They basically found a spot of Toronto that was, really bad, high crime, whatever else, bought the whole section, which I think was originally starting with only like 12 or 15 acres or something. But once the plan was released, they're like, oh, it was originally a 12-acre lot. And people are like, okay, Google can do something. Well, when the plan was originally released, like, actually, we would kind of like 350 acres. Give us your acreage. But with that being said, they released the plan, and it's like a 1,500-page plan detailing all of their individual things. They want to have 10 new buildings consisting of thousands of new residential units. Now, this is interesting. As I saw commentary, I want to say it was on Level 1 News, regarding an article we covered last week, which was when Google is reinvesting a few $1 billion into San Francisco, clean all that poop off the street, and basically creating rental properties. One of the comments they said about that is that if these are going to be Google-owned places that employees are moving into, Google is now, this is literal serfdom. So, of course, serfdom, this is a byproduct of emancipation, of the emancipation economy. So Lincoln comes down, proclaims all slaves as free. So there's this mass freedom of slaves, but where do you go? So most of them chose to continue to work for the people who enslaved them on their land, living in their same shelters. It was kind of like, I can leave if I want to. I just don't have anywhere to go. And that was the philosophy, the economic philosophy of serfdom. So basically, serfdom is kind of like where we're at now. We just don't have a specific serfdom tied to an individual entity like Google. We have a general serfdom tied to the corporate banks who own our cars and own our mortgages. You guys did know, by the way, that the reason banks have drive-through windows is so that cars can see the real owners from time to time. All right. But the reality is that when Google's doing something like this, or any other big company comes down and is providing a place to live for their workers, they're kind of becoming serfdom. You get fired from the company, how long is it before you have to vacate? And this kind of becomes a destructive thing, especially if you have to go back and repay that company back for rent. So we're going to give you some money, but you got to give it all back to us for a place to stay. But you don't really have a choice, because if you leave our little serfdom community, now you have to go and make it on your own. And in San Francisco, you know that that's an untenable task. So here we have Google making more property, over 1,000 residential units, which the fact of living in a Google-owned residential unit, whew, that's freaky. All right, so they want to propose to extend the city's light rail systems to serve the new neighborhood. All right, I don't see an issue with that. Redesigning the streets to reduce car use and promote biking and walking. Okay, maybe. But now, of course, we don't have a car. Now we're completely reliant on, again, your infrastructure. Sounds like slavery to me. Installing public Wi-Fi in addition to other sensors to collect urban data to better inform housing and traffic decisions. All right. De-anonymize data for traffic decisions, you know, when and how to change the lights, red, yellow, green, blue, pink, yellow, whatever. Okay. The fact, though, that you're tying this into a public Wi-Fi and attaching to all these smart devices means that you can actually track real individual people, and that is a frightening thing. Their proposal to reduce greenhouse gases by up to 89%. I have no earthly idea how this is tenable. I mean, I don't see the life of the citizen changing radically enough that that's actually a tenable thing. We'll look into it a little bit more. So building a new Canadian headquarters of Google on the western edge. So right on the edge, you will have the giant oversighting factory. Kind of like if you've ever driven through Wyoming on I-80, you might have passed through a town called Sinclair. Of course, named after the oil refinery, because Sinclair is nothing more than a town about 5-10 miles away from Rawlins that only serves its purpose to house the people who work at the factory, which is an oil refinery. So you're driving down and you see a giant oil refinery, and there's this little like third world neighborhood that in the center of it all is this giant factory. That's what it's going to be like. This overshadowing lordship. Like a castle. We are in serfdom. Welcome to serfdom, Toronto. So that's kind of what their plan is. They have this, and I did not actually... Okay, this is actually their website. I do not have this in the article list. Hopefully I get it there and I don't forget. So this is actually their website, sidewalktoronto.ca. So you can come over here, and a new approach for inclusive growth. Wow. So creating a projected 44,000 direct jobs, $4.2 billion in annual economic impact by 2014. A climate positive district that cuts greenhouse gases. Let's see about what they're doing here. All right, so global model achievement, reduce carbon emissions, improve... How? I'm sorry, guys. It costs a lot of carbon to live. I have no idea how they're going to be trying to do this. Energy efficient building designs, digital management tools, thermal grid, I guess. I mean, if they tap into some geothermal type things, maybe, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. But I don't know. So here, an affordable, inclusive community with 40% of units at below market rate. Serfdom. Bueller. Here's actually their plan. You can download the whole document directly from their system. So if you are in the area here, oh, look at this. It's such an inclusive. Let's see. You know, for being inclusive, I'm not seeing any white guys on here. I thought they were talking about being inclusive. That's right. White guys don't matter. I forgot. Anyway, that's kind of Google's plan. I'll leave you to download the document. If you actually come to the website, you can download the document here. This is, again, at sidewalktoronto.ca in case I forget to put it in the news list. All the rest of the articles are in the link down below. So what do you think? Are you a Canadian? Are you a Torontoan? Does this excite you or terrify you? Let me know in those comments down below. All right. Let's see, where to leave off. Hey, thank you for that super chat, Vince. Always appreciate that, my friends. Helps keep the channel going. All right, come here Fridays and Thursdays sometimes. Yep, calling a Tom on fire. Yeah. Wait till let citizens leave. Will they let the citizens leave the mental ward? I don't know. I'm not sure if they will or not. I have no idea. God, you don't need facial recognition. I'm amazed with the new iPhone XR has facial recognition login. That's frightening. All right. Snazzy Butterfly, greetings. Facial recognition in the hands of hackers is scary stuff. Yes, the hackers have been in the telecom since the beginning. Yep. They've just been living in there. Whatever. Squatting some space. Problems with insurance companies wanting to put trackers in vehicles. Oh, absolutely. It's like, no, you cannot put a tracker in my vehicle. Not a chance. I'll pay a little bit more. But that's why we're saying that privacy is becoming a luxury. There's a few documentaries about that. Privacy is truly becoming a luxury. It absolutely is. Let's see. Telegram bells getting censored on iOS. ISPs are required to keep metadata for 2 years. I am so surprised that your ISPs are not required to keep metadata for an infinite amount of time. Isn't Telegram closed source? I don't remember if Telegram is closed source. It's not my preferred means of communication. I have Signal on my phone. I found out that I think 2 people I know, 3 people I think I know have it. I don't know. Just joined Telegram and it required my phone number. Oh, okay, yes. To activate Telegram, it requires a phone number. But if a person has your username, then you can communicate with people on Telegram without sharing your phone number. You do need a phone number to register and get it set up, but you don't have to give a telephone number to use it. You can pass out your username to people without sharing your phone number. That's why I like it. So you can uninstall more apps now in Windows 10. That's very good. Thank you much. Bye, Cortana. That's right. I had to start using Linux for everyday browsing. I was using the dev version of Edge. It worked better in Windows than Firefox. Edge looked like it's taking screenshots. Really? That's interesting. It'd be interesting. Let's see if QuidSub would look at that. That'd be neat. Hello, Anna Rita. I hope you got here in time to hear all about Toronto. So if you want to start getting ready for that cabin now, go for it. Only want to open certain YouTube creators that spoke against MSM narrative. Ooh, did you open my pages? Ooh, I'd like to see what if they're taking screenshots of me. That'd be fun. Hello, Hunter. Greetings. Oh crap, Toronto City. Yep. Came from Windows 7 and on Mint now. Very cool. Ooh, cooking bacon. Hey, I just had my last piece of Canadian bacon today. Oh, it was so good. My kitties love it too. Kitty's got some Canadian bacon. Actually, I didn't share any of my Canadian bacon today with them. And CJ doesn't actually like bacon. He doesn't eat it. Like, I think he ate the last piece of bacon I gave him. But he usually doesn't eat the bacon I give him. TJ loves the bacon. CJ, I don't know, he's a mutant cat. Yeah, you. He'll love the kitty treats. He just does not seem to like the bacon. Pretty depressed today. No, don't get depressed. High-tech feudalism. Oh, it's high-tech serfdom. Come on. Wasn't just Edge, it was Brave, Chrome, and Firefox. Every time I went to certain channels, the screen flash. Really? On what system? Was it on a Windows system you were doing that? You throw history and philosophy into alphabet news. Hey, yeah, I have to throw some history and philosophy into things. And jokes, if you caught the joke, too. Come on. Canadian bacon is delicious, but wife told me no more bacon. Oh, actually, though, hey. I got degrees in this kind of stuff. Bacon is not the problem. In fact, consuming more bacon will actually decrease the size of your behind. It actually does. Because fat does not make you fat. Sugar and carbohydrates are what make you fat. If you want to get rid of the growing behind, you got to cut out sugars, not fats. All right, I'm glad I get all my data off Windows 7 hard drive so I can format it. There you go. A friend said I should start making vids on YouTube like I did on Vidly. Very cool, very cool. First time I've heard of this, huh? Sounds recently it came along with 1903 update. Oh, Quint, do you have a 1903 Windows 10? Can you look into that for us? Throw some Wireshark on that bad boy. See what it's doing. So guys, Vince, I'd like to sleep in the house where air conditioning is. Yeah. Corporate towns are considered evil in the days of robber barons. Yep. Avoiding Windows 10 because there's no more support for Windows 7 starting next year. Yep. Inclusive, meaning conservatives need not apply. You know what? It would be a hilarious thing to see what would happen to a city if they only let certain political parties in there. In fact, we should do that. Giant social experiment. Let's create 2 cities. Let's let one of them operate exclusively under what one political party would like, and let's have the other city operate exclusively under what the other political party would like. And I promise you, the redder the city, the less crazy it is going to be. I promise you. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I don't want to get political right now. Just a thought, just a thought. I don't know, I could be wrong, but... All right. It's Google, I like my neighborhood developed in the 1920s. Yep. And a hug, I'm sure she's checking the size of my growing waist. Nom nom. Hey, I'll try and get more ice cream videos up, you know. Jeff Hope, thank you for that super chat, my friend. Always appreciate that. I lost my place now. All right. Okay. Tom, they make things sound nice, but the reality is this new smart city scares the bleepies out of me. That is right. You, but too much telemetry. Yep. Next, they'll be advocating for population reduction to lower the carbon footprint. You have outlived your usefulness. Take this tea. Always have a hidden agenda. Yep. Happily living like an almost ANACAP-like community. Canada tends to be Yahoo-centric. Not sure if Google will be as accepted there. Miss the good old days when more people used Yahoo than Google. Hey, pizza, pizza. How's it going, the pizza? Only reason Google is building in Toronto is the fact that Toronto is too broke to develop the waterfront area. Yeah, probably. Or like Yahoo Mail and YAM. Oh, I had a YAM too. Remember using my sister's YAM to troll her friends when I was little. It wasn't you, it was someone else. Bummer. I'm not on Microsoft's radar. Bummer. All right, Windows 10 still spying and forces updates. Still not going back. Yep. Yeah, the YouTube studio recently closed. Huh. Hello, James Miller. Greetings. With Edge, your data goes over the edge. Yep. Windows 10 1903 update. All right. Not too sad. Just saw a really nostalgic video and it really hit home. Oh, wow. Be an awesome t-shirt. Bacon is not the problem. There you go. Yeah. I'm just scared to walk into the Target store in my town because there are dozens of visible cameras in there. Yeah. Thank you again for that super chat, Jeff. Always appreciate that. A steak for the first time in forever the other day. Steak. That sounds tasty. Flashing screen thingy might be related to the graphics card switching clock frequency. Could be. Could be. That's why Wireshark would test it. I think I would live on the fence between the cities. Google's smart city is the perfect home. Hey, I like that cursive. How'd you do that? All right. I missed all of the article. No, you missed the article. Company housing was terrible. There's a reason why it stopped, but it will be in the 20s again soon. That story about Mastodon makes me think they will be extinct soon. Yep. Love that Microsoft.NET Core to Linux. Yeah. More Logan's Run. You'll be offered at the age of 30. One computer that has to have 10 windows with Windows 10 with Linux on it will not shut off. I don't know what to do about one of the best computers. And our tiny house wheel is made because living with Bigfoot sounds about right. Yes. Yes. If I had the choice, if I did either run Ubuntu or Pop! OS, I would probably do Pop! OS. Which you can put other desktop environments on. And Pop! OS has a lot of things under the hood that makes it run a little bit better than Ubuntu. PIA app to work on Manjaro. I have not tried. You know, I generally just use the built-in systems on Linux desktop environments. Okay. It's more beginner friendly and does some nice tweaks. No.NET is awesome. Moving to Linux will require sacrifices. Not that bad. C++ is a good language. I just don't like GNOME. Yeah, you can put in other desktop environments on top of it, though. All right. Let's go ahead and jump on over to our business news. We ready for business news, guys? Ready for this insanity? Welcome back to Switch to Linux. This is the business section of Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by at that time if you want to catch the show live, or you can just watch these little clips here. Today, our affiliate link we are highlighting is A2 Hosting. This is who I'm using for all of my variety of websites, email servers, my Nextcloud instances, all my different clients. I run these on A2 Hosting. My link is there in the description or on the screen, tlm.li/A2H. tlm.li is my private in-house link shortener. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on over into the business news that I like to call corporatocracy, because that's kind of where we are. The companies are the ones actually making the rules these days, not our politicians. They just, how much does it cost to buy a politician? Not too much, actually. I want to start today with this very fascinating article from Grubhub. So Grubhub is apparently buying up thousands of restaurant URLs, web addresses, so that they're mom and the pop stores that own those. So if I owned, Tom's Cool Bakery, and I'm doing my little business as Tom's Cool Bakery, and Grubhub comes down and says, hey, we got a little deal over here. And I'm like, I kind of like to add delivery, so sure, let's go ahead and sign up for Grubhub. What Grubhub would end up doing is they would go on, and anything related to these businesses that either use their services or maybe not even use their services yet, Grubhub was buying up the domain names. So they would go and buy, tomscoolbakery.com, tcb.com, whatever. And they would do all of these different things. And then what they would do is they would throw up mock sites. So when somebody gets online and searches, they find something that the customer thinks is that restaurant's website, calls the restaurant for Grubhub, and then Grubhub would be adding extra fees for a commission affiliate. So basically, in addition to when somebody calls you and they use Grubhub and they, the delivery guy comes, they send it all out. Of course, Grubhub gets a percentage of that. But then if the person would also be referred to somewhere else, then Grubhub would also take off even more of the price. So eventually it got to the point where Grubhub, from several businesses, was actually taking more of the money for that service than the business owner would make. Now there's parts of this, and I'm reading this going, well, you're a really stupid business owner, and parts of this that go, yeah, maybe Grubhub needs slapped from on high. And so there's no single party here who's completely in the right or completely in the wrong. But this is a fascinating argument. Now, first and foremost, regarding them buying up all these domains, they did respond back to this article and said in here, where's it at? It says that... I passed it over here somewhere. Okay, they said Grubhub has never cyber squatted. So cyber squatting is when you know somebody owns a business or something, you go in, you buy the domain, and then you basically hold it hostage, because if a domain is purchased out of the domain registry online, you own it. And I could take this domain and say, well, I know that this is high profile, and I'm going to squat it, and I'm going to grab this domain, and, if the person wants to own it, they're going to have to pay me a lot of money for it. In fact, the most high profile, and this is so old you'd have to go look it up, most high profile case is right back around the time Microsoft bought hotmail.com. Some wires were crossed and they forgot to renew the domain. In about 3 seconds after the domain hit the open market again, it was purchased by a bad adult website company. So then the ownership of hotmail.com went from, at that time, one of the most popular email platforms to don't send Johnny there. So it ended up costing Microsoft a lot of money to get their domain back. And that's what they did. They saw something, they did something completely legal. Oh, the domain went up, let's buy it. They paid their $20 for it. And within the next day, they made a payout. And so that's cyber squatting. So Grubhub says we've never cyber squatted, which is identified by ICANN as generally bad faith registration of another person's trademark in a domain. Grubhub's PR person was lying out of their teeth, and they need to be slapped for that alone, because that's exactly what Grubhub was doing. Unless they posted on those individual websites, this is a Grubhub website. That's exactly what they're doing. And I would love to see that challenged in court, because if a reasonable person were to go to the website and think they were calling a number that was that restaurant and think that that website is owned by that restaurant and it's really controlled by another entity who's scraping more money off the top of that restaurant's cost, absolutely. I think any judge would look at that and go, yes, you are cyber squatting and taking somebody's trademark and profiteering off of this. Now, I think that what happened, if I have my guess, is Grubhub was doing this. It was becoming a big deal, and they probably had a lawyer look at this and go, you need to not do that. And so what they did is they basically said, we stopped this service, but we've always transferred these domain names back to the restaurants as soon as somebody requested it. Which, okay, if they did that, that's fine. So I think basically they were doing exactly what this article is saying, and either they were caught low profile and switched it, or the lawyer said, you got to stop this now because this is going to cost you your business. And so I think that it's more of that scenario. They were doing something stupid, a lawyer corrected them, and now this restaurant owner is mad because they didn't know this was going on. Now, the reason I say this is not entirely Grubhub is because the sad woe story of this business owner comes down here and just like, she reviewed her statements. It was obvious. Grubhub's commission fees has been inching up and up over the years since she'd been working with the platform. There was a flat rate fee which hovered on 3 or 4%, but then there were marketing fees and costs for additional promotions. She says she feels like the platform is increasingly pay to play. Spend more to promote your restaurant and see your search rankings rise. Cut down on marketing spend and watch your restaurant fall to the bottom. And she says, quote, it's putting a financial hole. Last month, they paid $7,000 to Grubhub. That's my rent for the month. So you're telling me that you've been working with this company for 3 or 4 years and you had no idea how much money you were paying them? You're a bad business person. You deserve to go out of business. Okay, I run a couple businesses. I know every single week how much money from my business is going to each different entity that different things are doing. Wake up, smell the coffee. That's not Grubhub. That's you being a bad business person. So yes, I completely agree. Grubhub was doing some really bad, really stupid things. However, the business owners need to read their contracts. They need to understand what they're getting into, and they need to watch their statements, for crying out loud. What do you guys think of that? Let me know. But anyway, an ex-chair of the FCC gets 5 years in prison for fraud. I mean, you know, somebody in the comments says, well, when's this guy to Asia Pie? Oh, about 3 or 4 years after he's done with his commission. He'll be rolling in the bank. He'll be over there rolling on a pile of money given to him by Verizon for all the money they're giving him. And then he'll have to go off to a minimum security prison for a couple months. But basically what happened is, in this case, this was an FCC commissioner, and dealing with, Elizabeth Ann Pierce. So basically she was trying to field bids, and then she kept on putting in fake invoices trying to raise the bids high enough. She got caught because enough people pulled out and said, no, we're not going to do this. So an investigation was ensued, and they found that, yes, she was indeed guilty of causing bids to go up, helping her in her company while she was an FCC chairman, and so she's going to jail now. So that's exciting. Good to know. If only we could swing this back and start looking at Agent Pie's actions now and send Mr. Shut Your Pie hole to prison for a little bit, because he's definitely not working on behalf of the people. That would actually be cool, but we can only dream, can't we? All right, just a little thing. I just kind of included this one because it's just, you know, I talk about iRobot enough. Of course, iRobot, these are the companies that have the autonomous vacuum cleaners that are going around mapping your house, determining your Wi-Fi. Now they're putting lawnmowers on the streets. All we need, robotic AI-powered lawnmowers running through the cities. I'm frightened, people. Well, now they're actually buying into an educational company. So the idea here is that, you know, this cute little device here, get evil eyes, you know, and this is used to teach kids how to do programming. So you can put it on a board and, you know, and I'm not sure how effective these things are. I don't see these as actually being programming as much as drag and drop little goofy things. I don't know. That being said, I don't know. It's interesting. What do you guys think? iRobot acquiring an education focused company. This is down there for y'all down under. So Vince, if you're still here, media company scrambling after a judge rules that they are liable for Facebook comments. This is in Australia, not in the United States. So an Australian judge finds that media companies have a responsibility to ensure defamatory remarks are not posted on social media. That might about be the end of Facebook. Woohoo! Yay, praise! All right. I'm not going to go into any more on that one there because we're already getting over time, and we have our fun story coming up shortly. This was a fascinating one. We talked about all of these AI cars. So this is actually a hacker group that's basically looking at the insecurities and vulnerabilities of all of these AI vehicles. And so what this guy did is he was able to completely fool a Mobileye 360 Pro. And we're not going to play all this video. I think I actually have to play this video on YouTube. I don't know why you'd link it to something you have to go over to YouTube to play. So basically what happens is they have a drone, and the drone is coming by and pasting here. Let me studio mode this. The drone is pasting a speed limit sign just on a random object here. And what they're going to show is that the car goes in here, and the car, as it's driving by, the Mobileye sees this and thinks that now this is the speed limit. So the idea here is that this car, the driver, while he's in manual control of the car, sees this and goes, oh yeah, that I don't know what that is, but speed limit here is 20, you know. But if they said if this car was in an autonomous mode, the car would have ramped up because the car now perceives the speed limit as being higher. So this guy kind of tricked this AI car using a projector attached to the side of a drone. Does that make you any more confident about having all of these AI-powered cars on the road? I know it terrifies me to no end. All right, now on to our featured story. This brings us from ProPublica. Apparently there is this Methodist hospital that even owns their own in-house collection agency that relentlessly sues the poor people who can't pay their bills. In 1 year, they've racked up over 8,300 lawsuits, and they send over half of their lawsuits to wage garnishment. And this hospital is affiliated with the official Methodist Church. So you Methodist Church people out there, you guys better go to your churches and tell your denomination to pass it on up the line to tell these hospitals to stop ripping off poor people. Now, I have to stop here and say that there's a deeper issue here, and that is that I don't really expect the hospital to foot the bill for every single poor patient, but this is a nonprofit. It seems to me if we really want to solve just a small sliver of the medical issues in this country, we need to take all of these nonprofit hospitals and instead of them paying off politicians, passing laws, or doing other weird nebulous community resource things that they have to do to maintain their nonprofit status, why don't they start offering services that become, basically operating a little bit more like credit unions? The reason a credit union is so much better to do business with is because at the end of the year, they're a nonprofit organization. All the money left over at the end of the year, they take it up and they divide it among the people, which usually means a lot lower interest rates or like lower interest rates for loans, higher interest rates for savings accounts. But if these hospitals, instead of doing all this nebulous community stuff, which is mostly meaningless, what if instead they took all of this money? Because this hospital is actually bringing in, I think they were saying, I forget the number. This hospital brings in, makes over $1 billion a year. What they should do is they should, at the end of the year, okay, let's see how much money we have extra. Okay, we need to save this for retained earnings. It's okay. Let them have a year or two of operating expenses, and then take all of that extra money instead of giving it some nebulous crap out there. Why don't you divvy that up among the people who have outstanding bills? So that now the nonprofit can help lower medical costs of poor people who otherwise cannot see a doctor. So what was going on is they followed this person who had a 2-night stay in the hospital, which cost $12,000. Okay, first and foremost, we have a serious health crisis, which is because medical costs are just too high. They're like, you can die or sell us your firstborn child and 3 or 4 limbs. Which would you like to do? That not sound like the devil, all right? But it costs $12,000. That is ridiculous. Okay, this person has never made more than $12 an hour. Sure, maybe we can say, help the woman find a better job, maybe? I don't know. But this was about 10 years ago. They sue her. They keep on sending her into wage garnishment. Now she owes $33,000 on the same $12,000 bill. She's never getting out of it. So they said that she just kept on getting wage garnishment, but she can't get garnished because she doesn't make enough money. So they just keep on adding stuff on top of it. It's just like, what is going on? They give, I guess, $226 million in community benefits, which, again, paying some politicians, doing political stuff, and, maybe mowing a lawn or something for a park. It'd be way better if they take this and lower the cost of treating people who can't afford it. That'd be a better way of spending it. So I don't know how exactly I want to feel about this article because, yeah, on the one hand, I don't really expect someone to be able to have to go in and get everything free. But at the same token, man, at some point in time, a hospital's got to look at a person and go, you know what? This person can't pay the bill. Maybe, sure, maybe let's work out a plan that we're not raking you over the coals, which for you Methodists out there would be called usury, and your scriptures forbid it. Look at these people and say, this person can't. You know what? We're going to work with you. We're not even going to charge you interest. You need to just pay the bill back. It's a nonprofit, right? All right, so that's kind of my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Alrighty, let's see here. Oh, I gotta hit stop record too, don't I? All right. What should I substitute? What should I substitute for sugar and carbs for? Actually, like, it's almost impossible to shift the amount of protein that you eat, but actually if you eat more fat in your diet, it's a lot better. But you want to avoid vegetable oils. Vegetable oils are actually toxic. The very one fat that they tell you, this one's a safe one to eat. No, it's actually quite toxic. The reason is it has to deal with the ratio of acids. So fatty acids, you have omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9 fatty acids. what you ideally should have is about 3 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. Of course, you get your 3s from things like fish. So if you eat salmon, other fish, things like that, you'll get that. Also, I think olive oil has some omega-3. There's a few other vegetable oils that do, but most of your highly synthesized, highly processed, so canola oil, which is just an extracted rapeseed, your corn oils, your generic vegetable oils, these are completely loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, and the average American or average Western diet has about a 1 to 26 ratio omega-3 to omega-6. You want to bring that ratio down to about 1 to 3. Which means eating real natural food. So eating some corn will get you just enough of the omega-6 and it'll rebalance your fat and oil profile. But ideally, you want to be eating, believe it or not, the best, healthiest thing is saturated animal fats are extraordinarily healthy for you. And you want to eat like more eggs, more bacon, things like that. Honestly, those are good. Now, I do uncured bacon because it has a lot less of the nitrites involved in them. Nitrites are the thing that potentially causes the issue with some of your meats. You know, these studies that come out like meat causes cancer. No, it's processed meat has extra chemicals in it that could do goofy things in higher concentrations. I get uncured bacon because they basically cure it with celery salts instead of curing it with your chemical nitrite solutions, and so I think that's a better balance. So you want to eat more fruits. You want to eat, which will get you all of the sugars you really need. You want to eat more eggs, bacons, meats. Organ meats are particularly really good. Liver, heart, kidney, things like that are all good, although I really don't eat much of those myself. Fish is good. Chicken is good. And if you're making chicken, keep the skin on the chicken. It's actually very good for you. So things like that. Just cut out on things that have added sugars and things that are processed. That's really the best thing. And what you'll find is that if you cut sugars and carbohydrates out of your diet, which even means rices, breads, things like that, you'll actually find that you are a lot less hungry. You will require less food. Now, if you're as young as I know you are, you don't want to reduce your calorie consumption that much. I can cut my calorie consumption down well under the levels that they say you shouldn't go below these levels, which are kind of made up numbers. But as a growing person, you definitely need to maintain the higher calorie count. So you're okay. Just just cut out the processed stuff. That's really the best thing to do. Will Linux kill Windows in 10 years? Probably not. Just because Windows has such a dominant. King, set it up with OpenVPN settings. Wife said to tell you you're now on the list of her favorite writers. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. Hey, that last book, though, that you read, that was a co-author event. I did write the bulk of the book, but my co-author did contribute quite a bit. In fact, sometimes you'll spot our writing style differences, which is really neat to see the writing style differences. But yeah, that's I like the fact. Thanks for liking that book. So you should. She's talking about the book Happy Holidays. You can find it on Amazon, other places as well. GrabHub. Yep, I'm grabbing your money. GreedHub. Whitehouse.com was also an adult site. I think it's still an adult site, isn't it? I'm not going there to check, but isn't that still? Do you think DT trying to revive Gopher is a good idea? I don't know. Go for it. Give it a try. I don't think it's going to happen, but give it a try. More options is fine. Already self-driving tractors here. Oh, lordy. Please don't scream. Sorry. Okay. Figured out what I did wrong with the PIA install. Now I feel stupid. Oh, don't worry, man. We all do goofy stuff every now and again. Yeah, keto diet. Dr. Tom. I am a doctor, actually. I have a doctorate in toxicology with a solid emphasis on nutrition. Okay, locally sourced bacon is the best. Yeah, always do local if you can. I think the only place I know of where I can get local bacon, they still dip it in the nitrate batches. That's why I generally will get, like, I usually get uncured bacon from Trader Joe's, has some of the best prices. Although I did get some from Wegmans this week because Trader Joe's was closed when I got a chance to get to the store at like midnight. And that was pretty good too. But I usually do Trader Joe's. Occasionally Weiss has it for sale as well, but I don't like going there because it's like you go in there, you go in the Giant now. It's like the only thing that's open is the self-checkouts. And I make them go and open a lane. I make them go and open one. Like, guys, I'm not sitting here running through a self-checkout, you know. Truth is heinously high medical bills only make more people want government to fix it. Yep. Sure, the hospitals will start taking blood as a payment. Yeah, when will they start taking blood as a payment? Yeah. Just take my plasma, man. If I donate a kidney to you, will you take off $10,000? You eat a lot of salmon. Salmon is one of the best things you can eat. That is so good for you. Absolutely. Oh, isn't it officially an Orange Man Bad website now? Should we petition it to go back to an adult website, please? It's the best SSD to buy. I actually don't recommend SSDs. They're faster, but they die a lot. They die a lot faster than a traditional spinning rust. And when they die without warning. I don't recommend SSDs generally. Best ones to get, from my knowledge, I've had SanDisk ones. I have one SanDisk one that I've had for a while, albeit it's in a computer I rarely ever turn on. Well, it's on my main system. I usually run that off of an external hard drive. I think aren't Kingston's good as well? I don't know. Some of you guys that actually use SSDs will be able to answer better than I will. Will Linux kill Windows in 20 years? Probably not. Popular opinion, I really like the design of Windows NT. Hey, I didn't mind Windows NT. Yeah, Samsung's actually are pretty good as well. I forgot about those ones. Things like ReactOS could speed up. I'd definitely use it. Yeah. SSD for the OS spinning drive for the home folder. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. If you are going to do an SSD, do the SSD just for your OS and everything else in your home folder. Because it's going to cause the back-end systems to run faster. And then if it dies suddenly, especially in Linux, rebooting a Linux system onto a new SSD takes all of, what, 15 minutes? So, you know. Technically, UPMC is nonprofit. Wrap your mind about that. Oh, yeah, yeah. UPMC is like, UPMC keeps on trying to take over the hospital where my mother works, so I get to hear all their crap. Samsung, Crucial, and ADATA are your favorites. All right. Yeah, SSDs do die pretty quick. It depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of read-writes, also, you have to set your operating systems to do trim, or else it will kill it a lot faster. If there's a lot of cache writing, it'll kill it a lot faster. Just stay below TBW rating and you'll be okay. Most people won't even pay for data recovery if a hard drive dies anyway. Best solution is proper backups. Yes. If you do proper backups, hey, SSD is good. It's just most people don't do proper backups. So I guess I should tell people use SSDs and do proper backups, because I also, nah, never mind. I'm not going to go there. All right, SSD's awesome. Samsung never had one die, even an old 80 gig. All right, so I guess go for Samsung, which, I mean, they're a company that knows about digital stuff as well. All right, I have one article in the security, guys. Are we ready? Can you set trim in Mint? You can. I do not remember how to do it, but yes, you can. All right, so I had one article here. Where's my security? There's my security. All right. All right, so I wanted to include this one. Usually if there's just one article, I throw it out. But this was an interesting one. So this is a new ransomware infection, is a drive-by in memory. So basically, they're booby-trapping websites with JavaScript, of course. So if you're running a no script, you should be fairly safe. It will only infect Windows computers. So if you're running Linux, you're safe. And it will actually only trigger if you're on a residential IP address. So if you are on a VPN or on a corporate ID, you are also safe. So what they're basically doing is you go by a website, it downloads and executes a JavaScript, checks your IP address. If you're not on a VPN and not on a corporate website, it will go to an external website, download and install a payload, which is an exe file, which encrypts your data. So, like I said, VPN, Linux, you're safe. Or disabling JavaScript, you're safe. Those three things, you're safe. All right, so these guys are kind of talking about a significant escalation of this. So the idea is they would hack a website, load the JavaScript, you access the website, JavaScript loads, executes, checks your stuff, and kills you. Yeah. And of course, this has also been affecting several of the ad services. So make sure you're also, I'm guessing, my guess is if you're running an ad blocker, it should help you, unless it happens to be installed on a site that you have whitelisted. So that's my thoughts on that one. All right, let's go back to comments until we run out of comments and we feed the kitty. So, all right. Started strictly using Mint, gave up on other distros. Yep. Okay. Main motivation on doing YouTube. How do you keep yourself motivated? You know, for me, I like to teach. I like to share the information that I'm finding on a regular basis. So that's kind of what it is. Like, I'm a natural teacher. I'm just, you know, high schools, you know, I'd like to go and off myself if I had to go teach at a high school with their modern crazy crap. Used to teach in college. College is, if you want to grow your academic brain, you shouldn't be in a college. College causes you to lose your brains, not make your brains, unfortunately, in many fields and disciplines. And so YouTube is a great place to get out and do teaching. So I kind of stay motivated just by wanting to connect and create every day, and you know, basically build this into a side business, because, you know, what I do in my day job is web design, and the writing is on the wall. Web design is not going to be around forever. And so, at least not as a general web designer like I do. Individual niche stuff, perhaps. Somebody working for a company, perhaps. But I'm a freelancer. And so, YouTube is a great supplementation for all that kind of stuff. So, that's kind of what I do. Great question there. All right, Windows 7 had the trim issue where you had to make sure it was on. Linux and Windows 8 does it automatically. I don't think Linux Mint used to. I'm not sure if it does now. Hate how websites rely so heavily on JavaScript. Yep. Absolutely. I'm using Zorn Ultimate, and do you like it for $39.99? If Pizza's still on, I think he's using Zorn Ultimate. He's going to college for programming good. I wouldn't. No. You would want to do maybe a tactical school or a boot camp, or here's a thought, turn off the boob tube and get online and do some tutorials. Okay. In college, I was required to take a couple programming courses. So I did. But everything that I do in my current careers, I've never had a single class in. Which is, you know, website design. I'm a WordPress codex expert. I know my way around PHP, but I don't really code in it much. I can fix things, troubleshoot some things, work around some things, basic stuff. I understand kind of the basics of how it all works, but it's not something that I actually do a lot of. But everything that I've learned, I've taught myself. And the reality is, like, if you go off and spend all your time at a school, when I first went out into web design, I had one of the competitors in town had a certificate from the local college, a web design certificate. And the problem is that the web design professor didn't know anything about web design because she was too busy teaching the class. And so everything that she had known, I can't say she didn't know anything about web design. She was actually a very knowledgeable computer science person. But the problem is she never had the ability to stay up on current technologies. So when the students were leaving her class, they had a 5 to 10-year-old education in web design. 5 to 10 years in web design, that's like going back to a text-only bulletin board on the internet. It's not going to cut it for a web developer. And so my competition had to go out of business very fast because it was me who built very good sites, all self-learned, versus the person who had a college degree. The problem is, oftentimes, and here's another problem. When I went in, this is funny. So I did Visual Basic, and then I did C++. While I was in the middle of doing my C++ class, I was actually using Visual Basic on my own. And if you're familiar in the sciences between the difference between a relative error and an absolute error, right? So something you'd encounter in physics. And I was a science major, and so I hated these stupid errors. And so I actually wrote a program in Visual Basic to convert between relative and absolute errors as a means to test my work. And so I'm writing all this thing, and of course I was compiling it one day at the class. This was before, you know, compilers were free. In fact, if I were to be a student now, I would have gone into computer science rather than biochemistry and, you know, hard science, biological sciences at the time. Because back then I looked into that, but if I wanted to write a C++ program, I'd have to fork out $5,000 for a C++ compiler that is now completely free on Linux. So at that time, I'm in the C++ class, but I had access to, like, you know, I had access to program stuff on my computer, but I had to take it to the computer labs to compile. So we're at the computer lab, and I go into the Visual Basic, and I'm compiling the software while I'm doing my homework. And I was telling the teacher about it. She goes, "Oh, maybe I should give you some tips." I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Oh, well, I'm teaching she said, "I'm teaching Visual Basic next semester. I've never looked at it before." Those are the people who are teaching you stuff. Now, she was, again, a brilliant computer science professor. She knew programming. She knew C++. She knew the background of all of the ins and outs, the bits and the bytes of computers and stuff. But she's teaching a course for a software package she's never looked at before. That's not who I want as my teacher. And that's what you're going to get more often than not. Now, oftentimes you will go and get somebody who's an expert. But if you find a technical school that's teaching the program, you're going to get an infinitely better education. Or a boot camp, you're going to get an infinitely better education if you go waste your time at a college to get a degree that's going to be 5 to 10 years out of date by the time you graduate. That's the problem. So make sure that if you're going to college, make sure that you're going to college because you have to have the degree. If you want to be a doctor, you have to have the degree. If you want to be a teacher, you have to have the degree. If you want to be a lawyer or a CPA, you have to have the degree. If you want to be a programmer, you have to show somebody that you're competent at programming. You need to put together a portfolio that's real stuff. You know, they go in and now the trendy thing in colleges and even in high schools and maybe in middle schools is put together your portfolio. If you go to do a job application and you show them this portfolio of your classwork, they're going to laugh you out of the room. Not to your face, but behind your back. They're like, this guy doesn't know anything. The only portfolio he has is classroom assignments. It's meaningless garbage. But if you go to the same company and you say, oh yeah, I've done this program, this program, this program. Oh, here's my source code. Here's all this kind of stuff. And you know it. It doesn't matter if you have the degree. If you know what you're doing, you're going to be the one that gets the job. And I know that because I hire people for contract work sometimes. I never ask them if they've went to school. I've asked them what they've done before. And that's what's important. Do you have a preference in Linux for accounting packages? You know, I haven't looked at a lot of other ones. GNU Cache, to my knowledge, is the best one. There's probably better accounting packages that are not specifically Linux applications, but like self-hosted systems. There's some self-hosted packages that are awesome that you would need a web server to do, which you could actually install a web server on your local computer. There's no problem with that either. That's something you could think about. But you know, that's kind of my thought. It's going to go into computer science, all right? Yeah, if you are going to college, make sure you're going to college debt-free. Do not take out money to go to college. It's too high of a risk. Even if I learn outside of college, as I'm doing right now, should I go anyway to get it done and say I got a degree? The degree will open some doors, but a portfolio will probably open more. That's kind of a hit and miss. If you can go to college for free, or at least without debt,
then it's worth getting a degree. But if you're going to go into debt to get a degree, it's not worth it. The differential, the amount of money that you've seen the statistics, the people who don't have degree income versus the people who do have degree income. They show you the statistics. There's this major black swan in those don't have degree statistics that loops in the bum in their parents' basement who's lazy and doesn't do anything with the person who didn't go to college who's a high achieving person. If you separate those two out, you're going to find very little, and actually that group of highly motivated people that didn't go to college actually oftentimes make more than people with a college degree. It's just because they're lumped in with the parents' basement guys, they dropped their average way down to the very bottom. Okay? Because these guys are motivated. They know what they're doing. All right, now, if though, suppose you just get that average non-degree salary, compare that to the person with their average degree salary, but if a third of their salary for their whole life is paying off student loan debt, that's not exactly getting ahead, is it? And so you have to factor that into that position. So if you can get a college degree without going in debt, go for it. Do it. But don't go into debt to get it. It's not worth it because it's too high of a risk. Programmer, my really learning happened after college. Yes. Hey, I was a chemist and my learning happened after college. You don't learn chemistry until you got 30 students who are incompetent blowing stuff up in the lab. That's when you learn chemistry. May need to find a job. Yes. Don't get a student loan. Absolutely. Look, education, going to school gives you a solid base. It often doesn't give you a solid base. A lot of education these days is going and listening to a liberal professor tell you how evil you are because you're white and have protruding parts. Even where I went to college. One of my friend's son just graduated from there. Or was it his last year? I think he just graduated. Him and his buddy were sitting in the back of the classroom texting jokes back and forth to each other about how many times the professor told them that they were evil because they were white men. At the school I went to. They didn't put up with that crap back when I was there. I mean, that was a few decades ago. But, man, now you go to college, and even the good colleges, it's a liberal cesspool. Yeah, and they don't teach you a good solid foundation. They're not concerned with a good solid foundation. They're concerned, have you had the class? Check. Have you had the class? Check. Have you had the class? Check. And as a former college professor, I used to tell people, I don't care if you've had the class. I care if you know the material. Because if you're going to come into my class in chemistry, okay, here's the first lab I would give people in chemistry. Because this would scare people away. Did you know that pennies before 1983 and pennies after 1983 have a different mass? A pre-1983 penny weighs 3 grams. A post-1983 penny weighs 2.5 grams. So I would take an envelope and I would put 10 pennies in it. Some mixture of new and old pennies. And I would seal that envelope. Their task, without opening the envelope, is to tell me how many pennies are new and how many pennies are old. Which requires them to know algebra. It requires them to know how to formulate from their head and then solve a system of equations. Okay, 2 equations, put them together to figure out how to solve for x and y when both of them are unknown. You have to use the system of equations to do that. That was my first class. Since I've had algebra, I don't care. Let's see if you can solve this problem. Because this is material you cover in Algebra 1. So if you want to pass the class, I don't care if you've had it. I care if you know it. And college is not concerned anymore about whether you know the material. They're concerned whether you've checked off the box and checked off the box and checked off the box. And anymore, there's been this radical shift where they're focusing so much on the experience of college. I went to college to experience an education, and I wasn't going to spend any more than 4 years there, and I got in there, and I got out of there in 4 years, because I said every year I'm not in the real workforce is another year I'm not getting paid. Why do colleges focus so much on the experience? Because it keeps the students there longer. And when it keeps the students there longer, they're making more money. And they have an unlimited amount of money because the government keeps giving unlimited student loans with the promise that us taxpayers will guarantee the loans. And now we have a student debt crisis. So I disagree that college gives you a solid foundation. However, when I went to college, it absolutely did. And I would love to have my perceptions changed, but I've seen too many people come out of college without a solid education. So I learned about planning on going for a degree. I say college for whatever reason it helps. If you go to government contracting, not having a degree, it will hurt you. Yes, that is true. Hello, how's it going there? Even history in school is just a story, not your story. Yep. So yes, does require calculus too, which you will never use in the real world. I completely disagree with you. If you understand what calculus is as a philosophy, the concept of integrals and derivatives is actually fundamental for understanding a lot of basic things about how the world works. This is interesting. You actually have to be able to solve a double derivative to see how the IRS does interest payments. Huh? Yes, the IRS. You'd have to do a double derivative to figure that out. So calculus is a study of differentials and integrations. What is the area above and below a curve? That's actually useful information. And if you know calculus, it's a major shortcut to a longer ways of doing things. That's all an integral is, solving a limit. So yeah, actually that stuff is real world use as long as you can look beyond the numbers. In fact, if you want to know what use calculus is in the real world, go read the book. It's called by David Berlinski, and it is called A Tour of the Calculus, and it will teach you about the philosophy behind calculus and why it is so critical in the world. Absolutely amazing book. All right, keep cranking them. You'll keep watching them. All right, man. Well, thanks. Thing is, I want to know how to program since I was 8 years old, but never could get through my head. Even nowadays, are 8-year-olds who just don't know it. Yeah, right, kitty. Hello, everybody. Did life again. I would do lots of open source, try and prove that I know programming. When I tried to get a job, it took me 10 years to get my degree, which is too long. Yeah. You have a game/web project or a program you wanted me to make. Use the leverage or get a job, make some money on it. I wish I did that instead of college. Yeah. Mom wants me to go to college, but I got to make sure I don't screw my life over. Yep. Yeah. Tan had a great idea for a video game and thought when I was a senior I was going to be famous for making it. Look at me now. Well, I'll start working on it. I'm considering college. Should read ESR's how-tos first. Danger for programming is falling behind. If your skill set gets behind, you can be doomed. Kitty, please don't mess with my keyboard. Kitty's over here trying to type you guys a message. Where's my... There we are. Look at that kitty. Important, it's about understanding the fundamentals. Yeah, what do you think are the best jobs to make a living off of? And you know, it completely depends on what you want to do. There is a lot of, like, if all you want to do is put in your 40 hours, make a good salary, support a family, and have a little bit of a life, dude, be an auto mechanic, be some type of technician, electrician, plumber. Those are great occupations. They really are great occupations. They're going to just require to get out, go do some important things, and then you get to come home and have a life at night. You'll be making, you know, once you become a journeyman on that kind of stuff, you're looking at 50, 60, 70,000 a year. You know, those are good occupations to have, good things to do. It all comes down to what you want to do with your life. Like for me, I don't like having a boss. I don't like getting up early in the morning. And so I kind of had this thing when I was in grad school. In fact, I kind of remember it was like a 4th of July in like 2003 or 2002 or 2003 or something. I forget when it was. So I'm in grad school. And in grad school, you know, we go there one day. Of course, campus is closed, so I really didn't have to go into work. Of course, you know, I worked in a cancer lab, so you have to go in regardless. I had to split my cancer cells, check on my cancer cells, make sure everything's looking good. And so I go in there, do my thing, and then of course I have the rest of the day off. So it's still early in the morning. So I go to this bagel shop. I'm having a bagel and some coffee, and I'm reading a book, and I'm writing in a journal. I'm like, man, I'd love to be able to do this. Well, about 6 months ago, I realized I'm kind of living that dream. Because I get up in the morning when I get up. I don't wake up to an alarm clock most days. Maybe 2 days a week I'll do an alarm clock. But I don't wake up to an alarm clock. And I get up in the morning and I take care of most of my errands in the morning. And about 2 or 3 times a week, I'll go to a bagel shop or donut shop and I'll sit there and I'll work for about an hour on either writing a book or reading a book or just something to that general calm down effect. And then I'll mosey on into the office, and about 12 or 1, I'll start turning on the computers, and I'll look over things, see if there's anything important to address any real emails. I'll sit down, I'll do about 3 or 4 hours of work. Stop, do a video or 2. Stop, take a big old couple-hour break for dinner, and then come back up and work until I'm done working, 2, 3 in the morning maybe. It is a relaxed life. It really is. With that, that's why I like this type of content. I like doing more YouTube type stuff because it's a lot more flexible. You can actually get something going in your life. And for me, the other thing I like to do is I'm an author, so I have 5 books. I write in the Christian field. So if you've not checked those books out, they're all on Amazon and everywhere else you can buy books, really. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I really do. And it's just kind of figure out what you want to do and figure out how to make an income doing it. And that's kind of the important part. Cat trying to type. 2 fish encrypted message. That's right. D has a lot of untapped potential. How about F? Definitely suggest manual labor as well. Yep. Depends what you want to do. If you're in high school, go for machining. You can make really good money and good benefits and a job right out of high school. Yeah. Gardening, after 3 months, you can eat your labor. There you go. Have winters off. There's a lot of manual labor without degrees. Yep. Work at my dad's machine shop. I started in the office and they didn't have anything for me to do in the office, so I moved to the shop and I'm working 10 hours overtime every week. Nice. Google Smart City might cost privacy at every inch, so we can find one category of people inside one compound. Yep. For being able to be flexible and not controlled by others' perceptions of how things should be. Yeah, I look into what you could do freelancing, Happened on to this show. I wish I was here earlier. Being a CDN, this Toronto story is dear to me. Yeah, I will have the edited version of this probably about an hour or so after we're done with the live stream here. So if you did miss it, you can actually go back and watch this whole video. This will be made private as soon as that one's available, and then I'll release the business one, either tomorrow or Sunday, depending on what else goes on. But I will have the shortened version, which is a 15-minute video covering a variety of different privacy news topics. Will be out. So thanks for coming along, Ron. Relaxing life is also stress and anxiety free. Yep. Go to community college first, get the hard classes there where the teachers are better, absolutely. If I had to do it all over again, I'd get any type of government job where I could retire in 20 years. While there, I'd buy a duplex or a 3-plex and get it paid off. Yep. Yeah, 20 years for a government job, and then paying off and basically having a rental property to help supplement your other income, and then starting on another career. That'd be awesome. It's a bloody late. That's all right. All right. Okay. Not that relaxing life. You got to work for it, though. You got to work for it. I mean, I went from college, of course, right into grad school, and I put in 3 years at the university as a professor there, paid off all my student loans in that time, and then resigned from that to do freelance work. That's kind of how I got here. But it takes some knowledge. You can't be having debt, and being more minimal is definitely better. Man, this cat is like getting fur all over my face. It's like probably 85 or 90 in my office. It's sticky, so my apologies, but oh, I got to keep this cat hair off of me. You're doing it to me. You are shedding like a creature. All right. If indie game development is worth it. No. Stay out of that field. My brother has student loans that unless his game takes off, he will probably not pay them off. But I'll tell you, there's almost no stable jobs. In fact, one of the last contracting jobs I worked with, which was it was the company I did work for we sold academic software. One of our incoming like VP or something, she actually came from the gaming industry, and she always tell people stay out of that industry. There's very few, if any, permanent type positions. Everything's on contract. You got to move into the cities, sweatshop it out for a long time, and then be off of the contract. It's crazy difficult, crazy competitive, and crazy expensive. You can give it a try, but man, it's hard to get going. If you happen to win the lottery and you pull off a fortnight, hey, you're rolling in the bucks. But most indie games, they're not going to be quite as successful. Now, if you learn how to market it, kind of like an indie author, like I do, you learn how to market it, you can make some money off of it. If you learn the skills, you can possibly pick yourself up a project or two. But it's a very difficult field to get into. No, Kitty, we're not eating them yet. I'm just moving them so they don't fall off the desk. So Microsoft once built containers that use their own servers underwater. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing for Google City. There we go. Toss is live. All right, I think we're going to wrap this up soon, and we'll jump on over and raid Toss. Trades are such good carrier options. I've dropped some 83,000 CDN this summer so far. Some Rano, yard sale stuff. So folks are totally in charge of bills, rates, and hours. Yep. Indie game development is definitely hard to make money off of. When you have put all this money into the resources, probably not going to get you much. Yeah, Jaden, my brother does this kind of stuff. In fact, he's on Twitch usually in the middle of the day. Twitch.tv/Mabus Games. And if you check out what he's doing, there's a few other game developers that also watch that. You could ask him what he thinks about it. So he's actually working on an indie game right now called Antrea Chronicles, which should be out probably within 6 months or so-ish. We don't have a time frame on the launch yet. But he's basically walking through how to make the game and how to do all the maps. So he's the creative director for the game. And so take a look at his channel and see, ask him what he thinks about all that. For the Foss video editor, Olive. I've not seen it, no. Sister's friend wanted to be a game developer, all right. He's a pharmacist now. Yeah, pharmacist is good. All right. This game development will probably be a hobby where I can make your own homebrew, yep. Plus watching, only 24 thumbs up. Oh no, we need more thumbs up. All right, guys, thumbs up because we're feeding a kitty. And then we're going to go and raid Toss. All right, give me this. I don't want you drooling on my mouse pad again. You guys can see that he is actually part alien, huh? All right. Come on. Oh boy. Guys. Uh oh. We've lost view of the kitty. Hey buddy, over here. This way. We got to get one for the camera. And guys, we have it. We have accumulated a double catter. We've got a double catter, people. We've got a double catter. We've got a double catter. Yeah, this is one you slobbered all over. Uh-oh. No. I need one more for the other cat. There you go. That one's for you. Go find it. You got a bunch already. You already got 4, you little piggy. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the double catter. It's rare to get a double catter, but every now and again, we get a double catter on this channel. Ooh, and I am covered in cat hair. Woo! Man. All right. Okay. They always have a cat. These ones are 11 years old and 9 years old. So that's how long I've had those ones. I did go catless for a while, but, you know, while living in apartments and stuff. Try making an Atari homebrew. It's pretty difficult. Feed that Desk Panther. That's right. New Fedora user. Awesome. Very cool. Game. Don't do it for money, but for fun. Should I play OpenMW or watch TOS? Oh, watch TOS. How about do both? Can you do both? Living in an apartment sounds awful to me. I don't know why millennials like it. I'd rather own a well-built historic home and have your own space. Yep. We have a double catter. How do I get cat hair in my mouth? Nasty. Cats are well fed. Pantheon. The other cat finally shows. All right, guys. Where's that TOS link? There's that TOS link. Copy link location. We are going to jump on over to TOS. That's Total OS Today. Great place for some conversation about all operating systems in general. So when you head on over to TOS's channel, make sure you do STL Raid so that he knows we all jumped on over. So check him on over at that link, and we will catch you guys later. So thanks for hanging out.